All right, greetings, Kappa Delta Pi. Thank you all so much for having me. My name is Walter Jennings. I serve as the Assistant Director of Diversity Initiatives in the USF Foundation and also the Program Director of the USF Black Leadership Network. And it is indeed an honor and a privilege to be before you to do this presentation. I want to say a special thank you to my colleague, Dr. Ruth May Sears, who I've had the privilege of getting to know over the past 20 months. And I do want to preface this presentation with letting you know that I will be making a couple of references to her for two reasons. The first is that she has done tremendous work, not only over these past 20 months that I've known her, but just really with the strides with STEM and those initiatives on the campus and in the community. And I always want to make sure that she gets her flowers. And the other reason is because she is the only person that I know in this organization as of right now. And interactive is a really big part of the presentation. So I am going to share my screen as we get started. And so Dr. Sears actually asked me to come and to talk about goals. And so I was asked to do this presentation for an organization that both of us are a part of, the Black Employee Steering Committee, and I was asked to do it there. And so she asked if I would share it here. Obviously, we're at the very beginning of a whole new year, and hopefully, like many of you, I'm looking forward to a great 2022. After 2020 and 2021, there is no place to go but up. As one of my old supervisors used to say, there's no there's no falling off the floor. And we definitely have come to a place of really a place of optimism, especially after having a lot of different challenges over the past few months. And so how that impacts our goal setting and our mindset and our mentality is going to be very important as we move forward. So just wanted to spend a couple of minutes giving some tools and tips and strategies that will hopefully help you with your goal setting if you haven't set those goals, or if you have set your goals, to really look at them in a more collaborative way. So wanted to start with an activity for all of us. When you think about the past 20 months, since May of 2020, May 25th of 2020, what would you say are some of your notable professional accomplishments since that time? Obviously, we know over the past 20 months, we've been dealing with COVID. There's some other activities that have taken place. So if you all are meeting virtually, if you want to put those in the chats for others to see, if you all are meeting in person and you want to write those down, if maybe you haven't even thought about them, but it's very important that as we begin to move forward with our goals, that we take the time to really reflect on where we've come from. So thinking about the past 20 months, what are some of professional accomplishments that you've been really proud of? As I mentioned, I am the program director for an organization called the USF Black Leadership Network, which provides scholarship support, professional development, and mentoring for Black and African American students at the University of South Florida. We were very fortunate last month to celebrate our 5-year anniversary. Within those 5 years, we've been fortunate enough to raise $2.3 million. We have supported 105 students, and we currently have 70 students in our program with 25 alumni. So we're very, very proud of that. Within the past 20 months, we have actually been able to go from offering 25 scholarships to now 34 scholarships. So those are some of the professional accomplishments that I'm really proud of over the past 20 months. And you'll notice that with that particular date, it's a very, if it stands out, it should. And it is because that is the date that George Floyd was murdered. It was one of the conduits through which Dr. Sears and I actually were allowed to meet because of the establishment of the Black Employee Steering Committee. And so the reason why I wanted to make that point is because there was a lot of emphasis on various groups coming together, having conversations, being collaborative, really looking at anti-racism, and a lot of companies in a lot of ways have tried to prove themselves as being pro-Black, and a lot of diversity initiatives have taken and come to the forefront. And so as we look at these opportunities that have been made available to us, groups such as Kappa Delta Pi, and some of the things that you all have been able to come together and collaborate to do, how can we keep that momentum as we move forward and with our goal setting? And so those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about during this presentation. So also coinciding with that is that we've also, during those past 20 months, well, really 22 months now, we've been dealing with COVID. And in a lot of ways, the George Floyd situation was actually helped by COVID because it took away a lot of the distractions and people had no choice but to really focus on some of the issues that the African American community have been facing for a number of years. And so we've been dealing with COVID. And so as we look at our goals, you've probably heard, I've heard a lot over the past few months where everybody was, I can't wait until we get back to normal. I can't wait till we get back to normal. Well, as we've seen, there is no going back to normal. We are knee deep in a whole new way of engagement and a whole new in a transition when it comes to the way we do business with one another and also with the community. And so understanding what those new engagements and factors are is going to be very important with our goal setting. One of the first things, as I've mentioned, is that we are in a COVID prevalent and also moving into hopefully a post-COVID society. So we want to want to focus on how we can remain both health conscious while also being socially effective with our communication and interacting with others. There are some individuals that we're going to come in contact with that they're going to be adamant about wanting to remain virtual or digital in their meeting. How can we remain effective in being able to reach them while also accomplishing our goals and our missions? While there are also going to be some individuals that they do want to meet in person. They really crave that in-person connection. So how can we remain health conscious in those interactions? So those are things that we want to take into consideration as we move forward. Also, the dominance of the digital age is upon us. We've moved out of the industrial era and we are now fully engulfed in this digital age. We have increased efficiency, which also leads to a broader world connection where we have the opportunity to network and work with individuals, not just from around the nation, but also around the world. But in conjunction with that, it also creates a digital divide when it comes to individuals who have a limited access to resources or those individuals that have limited technical capabilities. And so I would encourage us, many of us, I have been technologically averse, and I just want to know just what I need to know in order to be effective. But we're in a day and age where, again, with technology becoming a prevalent part of every aspect of our society, to embracing it and really leaning into every aspect of it so that we can be effective in all arenas. Number 3 is a really interesting one, which is intersectionality. So intersectionality is a theory that was introduced by Professor Kimberly Williams Crenshaw, and she initially focused on how the law responds to issues that include gender and race discrimination. However, throughout the years, and that was in the late 80s. However, throughout the years, it's been expanded to become an analytical framework that identifies multiple factors of advantage and disadvantage, which may include gender, sex, race, class, sexuality, religion, disability, physical appearance, and height. All of those things we want to make sure that we are thinking about in helping us to become remaining inclusive. Dr. Ruth May Sears loves to use a term called inclusive excellence. And so that type of pervasive thought is going to be very important as we think about our goals and in order to be successful in some of our pursuits. And then the last two things that we have are USF specific issues, where we know we are in the midst of selecting a new university president and also a new provost, which represents potentially a new direction and a new path for the University of South Florida. And so it would be prudent of us to think about how that's going to impact our goals as we move forward. We want to see them as opportunities for us and also allow it to create in us not only a sense of hope, but also a sense of haste, not waiting until that leadership is in place for some of the things that we want to accomplish or see, but beginning to make those strides and those movements towards implementing those things so that they can build value as the new leadership comes on board. So as we think about our goals and collaboration. And specifically with the Kappa Delta Pi group, I want to pose a couple of questions for us to think about. I love using questions as an opportunity for us to really think and have some discourse and discussion between each other as it relates to different ideas. And so if you, again, have already come up with your goals for 2022, what are those goals? As I mentioned, Dr. Ruth May Sears likes to use a term called inclusive excellence. I like to use a term called intentional collaboration. And it's imperative that we look for opportunities to work together and to keep each other involved in our pursuits. So we want to make sure that with our goals, as you're looking at your goals for 2022, how do those goals impact others? What are ways, or who are the individuals that you can actually incorporate with some of the goals that you have? In relation to that, what are some of your upcoming professional projects or events in which you need support? Now, I will give a small caveat with this particular point, that we must be patient and recognize that the support you're offered may not necessarily reflect the support that you are requesting. So figuring out, again, when it comes to collaboration, if someone is offering me something that I didn't necessarily ask for, how can that potentially be incorporated? Maybe it cannot, maybe it can, and maybe they're offering me a perspective that I didn't necessarily think of. So being mindful and being collaborative oftentimes means compromising and being open and flexible to listening how certain ideas or services or skills can be incorporated into what it is I'm purposing to accomplish. When we look specifically at Kappa Delta Pi, who are some of the individuals that you have connected with in Kappa Delta Pi? Those individuals that you've worked with, or either you've bounced ideas off of, or you've been able to collaborate them, or they become great think partners. How can you strengthen those relationships as you move forward? On the flip side of that, who are those individuals within your organization that you would like to learn more about? Who are those people that you haven't yet had a conversation with, or haven't had the opportunity to collaborate with on different projects? Being able to come up with a list of those individuals, starting with the conversation, and again, remaining intentional in reaching out, really helps to create a bridge of support. And again, those cross campus and cross disciplinary opportunities really help to build value within the goals that we are setting. So these are some of the things and questions that we really want to think about as we move forward. So for those of us who have not come up with our goals, or we're still in the process of developing our goals for 2022, no problem. Early part of the year. And again, there's a lot going on, but these are 5 tips that I recommend that should help you into creating your goals for the new year. The first is see a need, meet a need. Identify the problems. Most of the time, if you are seeing a need, it is because you are recognizing something that you see is an issue, and there is something inside of you that is drawing you towards whatever that deficiency or challenge is. Search that. Do your due diligence and figure out exactly what that is and what your role may be in being able to provide a solution to that particular problem, or allowing it to be added to your particular goals. Point number 2, dream big, work small. With the certain goals that you have, don't be afraid to really think through everything that it can be, getting outside of the box, being creative, and again, utilizing and leveraging your collaborations to really have a comprehensive view of everything that can be done with the goal and what you're seeking to accomplish. While doing that, making sure that you're not ignoring the smaller components and the work that goes into everything that it needs to accomplish and build and make sure that you're accomplishing that dream. Point number 3, identify champions. We talked about earlier some of the individuals in Kappa Delta Pi that you've worked with. Also, who are those individuals in the community that have shown to be very supportive in the things that you do, and some of the projects that you have, and some of the assignments and different things and activities that you lead and are a part of. Being able to pull those individuals into the loop again, remaining in contact with them, having conversations about how to get and keep them involved is going to be really important in setting your goals for the year. And next, organizing and activating your resources. In addition to those individuals, what resources and services do you have available? No matter how small or large they may be, being able to have a plan for those things and allowing them to be used to reach your goals is going to be really important for your efficiency, and also too to ensure that you're not wearing yourself out and trying to figure out how to accomplish what it is that you want to get done. And what you'll find is that as you use the resources that are available to you, other resources and other individuals will become available. So it's very important for us to take the time to take inventory of what we have, utilize them to the best of our ability, and then we'll find that other individuals and resources will often become available. Lastly, remain flexible in your vision. Oftentimes, when we create goals, we have an idea of exactly what it should look like or what it should accomplish. However, when you have a dream or a goal or a vision that's larger than you, then it oftentimes can form and grow into something that you didn't necessarily anticipate. And not being afraid of that, not trying to place it within a box, but really being able to recognize, okay, what has been created and what is it doing? What is it actually accomplishing? And oftentimes, we mentioned earlier, as it relates to seeing a need and meeting a need. When you're meeting that need, you can often identify a system or a product that is an unintentional consequence by what has been created. So making sure that you're flexible and not so regimented and dogmatic in what you wanted to see happen, but actually accepting what is happening and what is being produced is a really important part in remaining effective. So one of my favorite authors and one of my favorite leaders that I really like to study is Dr. Bill Winston. And I just finished reading a book that he wrote called Faith in the Marketplace. And one of the quotes in the book that I really took from was, "No vision is implemented by one person. You need a team." And so we must resist the urge to go back to our silos and wait for the next tragedy to bring us back together. We've been very fortunate over the past 20 months to really have the reach and the bandwidth to connect with individuals outside of our normal system, outside of our normal teams, where now cross collaboration across campus and different departments and different divisions is now welcome. So it's very important that we leverage and continue to utilize that to our advantage and for it to become commonplace. And again, as we move towards welcoming a new president, welcoming a new provost, showing that a lot of these cross-division and cross-departmental collaborations are productive and are valuable, are going to be very important in keeping those things in place that are effective as we move forward with the new leadership. So I know that a lot of people like to do vision boards, and I think that vision boards are great. However, I think that we must be careful that we do not allow vision boards to become great works of art to be admired, rather than reminders of goals that are to be pursued. So nothing wrong with vision boards. And so I encourage those, but just make sure that you're utilizing it in the right way. I make that point because one of the things that I like to do is I like to make hashtags. So at the beginning of every year or at the end of every year, I come up with the hashtag for the upcoming year. So my hashtags for this year are due season, due season. I'm an artist, so I like to kind of play on words. And so the due season, as far as DUE, comes from the the Bible verse, Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, which says, "And let us not be weary in doing well, for in due season we shall reap if we do not faint." So with the work and the goals that you set for 2020, for 2021, working and living in anticipation that you are going to reap the harvest of the things that you have done, of the collaborations that you have built, of the things that you've worked hard for. Living and working and moving in anticipation of those things is a really important part of the encouragement and the hope that we often need to move forward. However, due season means that we are always in a season where there's something that we are to be doing. There's a work that time and life is requiring of us. So due season, DUE, anticipating the fruit of the work that you have done, and then due season, DO, is the work that is being done now in anticipation of the fruit to be yielded in ahead. So again, thank you all so much for the opportunity to present to your group. And I wish you all a successful 2020, 2022, and look forward to hearing how your goals are going to come to fruition. And remember, intentional collaboration as we move forward is going to build value for our future. Thank you.